All right, it's midweek, and welcome into the Auburn Blitz podcast. Getting your morning started right here every single day of the week. Well, I don't guess every single day, Monday through Friday. The work week, right? And we're halfway through and looking toward that big matchup in Tuscaloosa coming up on Saturday. But first things first, Auburn last night bouncing back. And that was the key thing, these midweek games. What a slate last night, by the way, Faith. And we'll talk about those games later. But Auburn going to Nashville, where Vanderbilt was 12-1 on the season. Knew it was going to be tough. They were 17-6 overall. There are no easy games in this league. And Auburn takes care of business, 80-68. Got off to a great start and then kind of fizzled again like they did against Florida, and everybody started to be a little bit concerned. I'll be honest with you, when they fought back, when Vanderbilt fought back and had the had cut it to 2 points before half, and then came out of the gate and kind of took it to us there for the first couple of minutes. I thought, man, maybe we are hitting a wall right here. Maybe we are kind of fizzling out. But man, Chaney Johnson to the rescue in the second half, Denver Jones in the first half. And then it looked like we started to pick it back up a little bit and play Auburn basketball the last 10 minutes of the game. So, hey, look, don't lose the focus of what this is all about. We got to win on the road. We bounced back after a loss. We weren't overlooking this team, looking toward that monumental matchup on Saturday. So just glad to go to Nashville and get a win where a lot of people have it this year.
Yeah, that was such a fun game to watch, and definitely I was at the store right when Vanderbilt took over their first lead, and I'm walking around the grocery store, and I've got my my phone like this, and I see one of my friends, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, are we winning?" And I was like, "No." I was like, this is the first time they've taken the lead. I was like, I need to get out of here and go back home. I feel like I just did this. But yeah, Denver Jones,
so proud for him.
Last night was one of those nights I said, give the ball to him, put it in his hands.
Well, feed the guy that's hot. I mean,
Yep,
that's basketball. It was Chaney in the second half. I mean, Chaney had a 9-0 run for Auburn in the second half, and we needed him.
Oh my gosh, we needed that.
All right, so we got a lot that we want to break down in this game. Obviously, I'll start with Denver Jones. He was 7 of 10 shooting, had 21 points, had 17 of those, I believe, in the first half. And when you look at a kid that was 0 for 4 shooting against Florida, I think he had 2 points from the free throw line. To bounce back and get 21, and we needed it. We needed him to perform the way he performed. We needed Chaney with his 20 points to perform the way he performed. Jedi Broome was, Jedi Broome's a warrior. I'm not taking anything away from him. It is clear as a bell that he's not anywhere close to 100%. I mean, he's still struggling inside. He's not as quick. The thing that I've noticed is his defense. He used to be a shot blocking machine, and it looks like he doesn't challenge even a lot of those shots now, which is, again, I can't, nobody can throw stones at this guy because a lot of people probably would be sitting out or be close to just now coming back off of his ankle injury. And he got back pretty quickly, and he's trying to do everything he can to help Auburn win basketball games. But he was 6 of 16. It was better in the second half, especially late in the game.
0 for 3 on 3 points. He kept taking those so early.
And a couple of them were in bad times. I mean, when Vanderbilt was right there and they were making a run and just an ill-advised shot. And, I'm fine with 3-pointers, but to me, they have to be in rhythm. And sometimes guys in basketball will just come down and think, man, I think I feel it right here. I'm just going to shoot this wild shot. And when I say wild shot, it means that you have nobody underneath for a rebound. It's kind of like unorthodox. Nobody knows you're about to shoot this, and you shoot it, you brick it, and it's a one and done, and they're off running the other way on a fast break. And just a couple of those threes were ill-advised by him. It just wasn't in the flow of our offense. And, I think he thinks that he's got to shoot 2 or 3 a game. And I'm fine with it. He can make threes from time to time, but he is not a high percentage 3-point shooter. And we only hit 9 last night. Again, my magic number for Auburn back in the Final Four season, and, it lives true today for me, is to get to that 10 made 3 mark. We got to 9. We shot it 24 times. We'll talk about Alabama in a little bit, but the discrepancy there is Alabama made 17 threes last night on 29 attempts. That they shoot it at a high rate. They live and die by the 3. And, I'm going somewhere with this, Faith. Our defense, and Bruce Pearl brought it out. He said we've got to do a better job of getting back to what we did at the beginning of the year and taking a little pride in our defense on the perimeter and the way we guard people. We're a little sluggish at times. We leave some guys open where we used to not leave guys open. And I'm going to tell you, Saturday, if you do that, you will pay. You will pay dearly, because that's what Alabama's going to do. They're going to try to get up and down the floor, and they're going to try to get transition threes, and they're going to try to set picks and screens to get guys open like Aiden Holloway and Youngblood and Mark Sears. And you just got to be as aggressive as you've ever been this year defensively on the perimeter on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is we had 29 rebounds and Vanderbilt had 37. In a game against Alabama, that is what I think could be make or break of the actual score of the game, because if we're not rebounding and we're not able to half of the time I feel like there is at least 4 guys that are still on that side of the court before getting back, and I don't understand how half the time there's so many more either white or blue jerseys and they come up with the ball, the other team, off of a rebound. And I'm like, I don't understand that I feel like that's so important, because then I get it. You can just throw it back out and someone can hit a 3 or something like that. But it just looks lazy sometimes.
Well, if you look at it, what did it look like from offensive and defensive rebounds? We only had 10 offensive rebounds. They had 16. They got, and a thing about what you said about kicking it back out, that 2 and 3 opportunities on the offensive end makes a big difference a lot of times. And right now, I think we're being kind of exposed with Janai Broom's lack of explosiveness off the floor. CBM being banged up. He's already a thin guy, and he's banged up. We'll talk about him in just a minute because he's kind of in a funk right now. And then right now it's just Dylan and Chaney and Chris Moore battling. Chris Moore really, I thought, fought hard last night, but he's just so overmatched by bigger guys that, guys can reach over the top of him and not get called for a foul and get a rebound. And so we're just a little bit understaffed, for lack of better terms, in the paint under the basket. And that's a problem because Alabama is extremely long. And again, we're going to see a matchup. It caused problems for us against Florida. Florida, the size inside we struggled with, and it's going to be a very similar matchup on Saturday. This was not we talked about it. Vanderbilt lacked length. They didn't lack size. They didn't lack physicality. They lacked length, and they still out-rebounded us. So, we haven't been the best rebounding team all year. There's games where you look at the stat sheet, and we've been beat on the rebound in the rebounding column by other teams, and it's like, and we've been able to survive it. We've been able to make up for it doing other things. I will say this, and we're kind of hopping back and forth talking about Alabama and Vanderbilt. But Alabama turned the ball over 17 or 18 times last night. I can't remember. Now, if we do that, if we force them to turn the ball over like that, they won't score 103 on us. I can promise you. So they scored 103, but there's things that there are chinks in their armor as well. And so we've got to expose their chinks, and they're going to try to expose our chinks. And
it'll be a big game in the transition, I think.
I think we've got to win the transition a lot of time. We've got to be able to get back and get behind them. And we're also going to have to drive and draw contact. We didn't go to the free throw line a single time in the first half. And I know it got a little better in the second half. We ended up shooting more free throws by one than Vanderbilt last night. They shot 14, we shot 15, but no free throws, none. And I texted you and I said, when was the last time that happened in a game where you didn't go to the free throw line one time and a half? So we have got to figure out a way to get downhill and draw contact. That is where Alabama makes hay. Mark Sears is going to force the issue and try to draw contact and get to the free throw line. And we've got to do the same. We've got to do something to generate some more opportunities at the free throw line. And right now, we did a little bit better job in the second half. I thought we came back into our own the last 10 minutes, Faith. I was encouraged with the effort, a little bit more of a little bit more energy, it looked like. I had somebody text me during the game last night, said we look like we're tired. I'm like, well, we're supposed to be the deepest team in the league, and Vanderbilt played on Saturday too. So I don't, why aren't we tired? We shouldn't be tired. So everybody else is having to turn around and do this too. But I was encouraged with the energy in the second half. And I'm going to tell you, shifting over to Chaney Johnson, kudos to that guy. I mean, his effort, 9 of 10, had a 9-0 run by himself there against Vanderbilt that really, when we kind of were in peril, we were kind of in a bad situation. And Chaney just said, look, and credit our team for recognizing the hot hand and feeding him the basketball.
Yeah, for sure. What we've been kind of talking about the past, I don't know, it feels like all season, that there needs to be consistency in our game. And Denver, he didn't have that great of an offensive night against Florida. Chaney didn't score, obviously, as many points. And even the announcers last night, they were talking about the consistency of our team scoring. And I think that's going to have to play a big part at Alabama, with Chaney in Denver, making those either 3-pointers or shooting inside. Like, overall, they're just going to need to be scoring the way that they did against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I know.
And no Chad, doubt. I mean, he didn't score at all.
Yeah, so. 0 for 6. When you got, and again, I said it yesterday. We'll start running down some of these comments. Auburn has to have Janai Broome and Chad Baker-Mazara, and they have to have them not just on the floor, but they have to have them play well. I mean, when Janai Broome was struggling in the first half, it showed. I mean, Auburn. I mean, if Denver Jones isn't scoring the way he scored, man, we're getting destroyed on the road, and it's looking really bad. And I know it ebbs and flows in basketball, and from one night to the next. Obviously, Denver is a perfect example of this. You can be a non-factor one game, and 3 days later, you can lead the team in scoring, and that's exactly what he did. Broome got better in the second half, like we said. He had 30 minutes, so he's out there. But I thought we saw a little bit better effort from him in the second half. But there are some concerns here going into Alabama. Number one, where was Miles Kelly last night? He only took 5 shots, only had 3 points. And I know, again, it goes up and down. And why he gets 3 one game and 18 another, and why Denver gets 21 one game and 2 another. It's a little frustrating. It's good to know that you've got multiple guys, that the same guy doesn't have to have a 17 to 18 point night every single time to give you a chance to win. You don't know who it's going to be. Chaney Johnson stepped up. Tahad, I'm with you. Got a little bit more minutes, 25, scored 9. Maybe you're channeling Bruce Pearl a little bit, Faith. He started to pick up a little bit and very efficient, 3 of 6 from the field, 9 points. I think he needs to shoot the ball a little bit more. But I thought Stephen Pearl having a sit down with Denver after the Florida game and telling him, look, we need you to score, man. you got to shoot the basketball. You can't go through a game and only shoot 4 times. We have to have you score the basketball. And he shot it 10 times last night, and he made 7 of them. And he's not going to do that every night, but he was 5 of 7 from outside. He had 5 of our 9 threes. So major performance for Denver Jones, and led us in scoring. Chaney with 20, Janai with 17, and it dropped off pretty big time after that. So
do you think Aiden Holloway is going to have any case of the jitters, any nerves?
I don't think so at Alabama. I think he's going to be chomping at the bit to set a record score, and I think he had. He had 18 points last night again.
Yeah,
on the road at Texas. I mean, this kid, for whatever reason, is the switch was flipped.
I'm glad he can fit into their offense.
Well, he did. Well, I brought this up the other day. I don't think you were on, Faith, and I said this. The biggest thing for Aiden Holloway this year was Latrell Wrightsell going down early in the season, because if Latrell Wrightsell had been healthy and when was playing for them, Aiden Holloway wouldn't be getting these minutes. He'd be getting in some. He'd be in the rotation, but he wouldn't be a prominent player on this team, because Latrell Wrightsell was Alabama's best shooter. I mean, nobody's going to argue with you on that. He was their best shooter, and I thought it was going to hurt them tremendously, and it hasn't, because Aiden Holloway's picked up the slack, and he's able to score 18 like he did last night against Texas. So, no, that's a concern. Now, at Auburn, yeah, when he goes in and feels like everybody's like sitting on his back and he's getting a lot of expletives yelled at him and people are constantly in his ear, and, some people use that as motivation too, especially on the road. That could spark him to play better. I hope it doesn't, but we'll see how it all plays out. But look, right now he's making everybody shut up, and it's because he's doing it on the floor. All right, so let's get to some of these comments, and we're going to thank some of our sponsors here on the show. What's up with CBM? He has to be better for us, make a deep run in March, and going forward. I think we start Chaney for more of scoring. Look, a majority of the press conference last night was Bruce Pearl bragging on Chaney Johnson and all of those moves inside that he makes and everything. He said it's all a testament to how hard he works and what he does to become a better player. And he said he's one of the better athletes in the league. He's more physical. He looks different. And I agree, Jerron. We need Chaney. We need that version of Chaney more often. Now, you're not going to get a guy to go 9 for 10 from the floor every night. But we need if we could get a 15-point per night effort out of Chaney Johnson, this whole thing changes. And so, I agree with you on that. Justin said, well, we made it. Saturday's going to be epic. Is there a watch party at Kalijah? No, there will not be a watch party at Kalijah. It would be a huge one if there were. That would be an awesome watch party at 3:00 at Kalijah. The one for Ole Miss was unbelievable. We had a great time down there. I bet you there were 300 people there. The whole back area was packed. The food was great. The weather was beautiful. So, it made for a great day. But, man, Saturday, we're about to dive into that. Faith and I are going to talk about that probably ad nauseum for the next 2 days. But we're going to dive into that too. Also, CBM and Mo Diabate battle will be a good matchup, no doubt. We'll see how that plays. We need CBM to get back to the old CBM. Rebel Yell says start Chaney over Broome. Enough of the injury talk. He's a liability of defense, and his scoring is not close to what it should be. I'll agree with you on one part, Rebel Yell. I said this in a text message last night. He is a liability right now. If he's not at full strength to his level of being able to play like we need him to play, and I don't mean full streak 100%. His ankle's got to be 100%, but an effort. If he doesn't feel like he can get to spots on the floor, and he doesn't feel like he can challenge defensively, which I didn't see him challenge very much at all last night, especially on guys driving to the basket. He kind of conceded. I don't know if he's worried about going up and landing wrong or whatever. Maybe he doesn't feel like he can get up there and challenge, and he'll draw a foul, and maybe he's trying to be conservative there. You don't know what's going through somebody's mind when all that's going on. So, but Broome, let's hope and pray that the effort is there all the way around for everybody on Saturday. We need to be jacked up, I guess, for lack of better terms. You got to have high energy the entire game. And Bruce said it in the press conference last night. You cannot be lazy on the perimeter with this team. They will shoot your eyeballs out.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were texting last night, and that's why I started giggling when I was reading that he was talking about him being a liability, because that's exactly what you said last night. And we both were talking about how every single time it felt like he had the ball in his hands, it was at one point I was like, he's going to shoot a 3-pointer and miss it every single time.
Well, you were right. He was 0 for 3. So
yeah, I'm just glad he didn't keep doing that.
Well, I think maybe somebody was in his ear after that third one, like, "Hey, man, don't do that again." You know, if you're
I
gonna,
hope so.
I mean that Stephen Pearl looked like he was upset most of the night last night, and I appreciate him doing it because he saw the lack of intensity in the first half. I mean, you know, that's a weird place anyway. And Lyndon was supposed to be on. I'm gonna roast her for a second, and I told her I would, and she's gonna be on with us tomorrow. But all in fairness, she had something come up. She couldn't be on this morning, but she said she would be with us tomorrow, and I'll just roast her in person when she comes on here. But that's a weird place anyway. If anybody's ever watched, anybody watching's ever been there, you know how weird that place is. And the bench is behind the goals. Bruce talked about it a couple of days ago. It's like he said, "Well, ask Hugh Freeze what it'd be like to coach from the end zone." He said, "That's what it's like." He said, "So you're able to walk around the side. The coach's box extends, but Steven was jumping up behind the goal, especially when we were on defense on that end to start in the first half, and we were lazy. There were some backdoor cuts for Vanderbilt that were uncontested. We just didn't get to the point of attack, and they were out hustling us. Even after we got off to such a good start, we let them come back and cut it to 2 points there, and they had the momentum going into the locker room. And then, of course, Chaney comes out and does what he does, and he just accepted the challenge, man. And we were smart enough last night to say, feed the guy that's got the hot hand. You have to do that in basketball until he can't make anymore. You know, and that's just the way this game is played. And if you don't do that, you're not playing smart basketball. So it was Denver in the first half. It was Chaney in the second half, and it was Janai Broome coming on late in the game, looking a lot closer to the old Janai Broome that we're used to seeing. A lot better effort. I saw a couple dunks. It is a miracle. He can jump again. I couldn't believe it. I was wondering if he was ever going to dunk another basketball, and he had a couple there at the end of the game. So I was proud to see that. But guard play, and to wrap this Vanderbilt talk up and then kind of shift our focus to what happened last night around the conference in the game on Saturday. You know, big win. Auburn, I think that was 7 road SEC wins in a row, which is the most in program history. Again, you gotta look at you know, this team continuing in the middle of all this to keep doing really, really good things. And then you look at last night and you look at this league as a whole. If you want to kind of put things in perspective, you know, yesterday we asked, is this the best SEC or best version of the SEC we've ever seen? And Jay Billis thinks so on ESPN. He said he's never seen a conference this strong top to bottom. And this is kind of where we are right now. An 889 winning percentage in non-conference play. 9 teams in this week's top 25, including 4 of the top 5. 13 teams as it sits right now in Joe Lunardi's projected NCAA field. And then, of course, first time in SEC history, number 1 versus number 2 on Saturday. I mean, we just have I mean, it's hard to argue. Now, have we won a national championship lately? in the SEC? No, we haven't. Auburn and Alabama are the last two Final Four teams that we've had, but it's hard to argue top to bottom that this is the most powerful league in the country. And again, you can have a powerful league but not win a national title because it takes a lot of fortune, a lot of bounces in your favor, a lot of good things to win a tournament. You can run up on that team that happens to be hot in that one particular matchup and you not be playing so well and your season's over. But the body of work, you can't argue with this league this year, Faith. This is probably the best that we've ever seen.
Absolutely, no doubt. There's so many teams in the top 25 that are from the SEC that are, I mean, I'm glad that a lot of them we played early, and we've talked about that too. I will say, though, one last thing on Vanderbilt from me, but I was so shocked and excited to hear how many people were at that game from Auburn. The crowd,
Right.
I only heard Auburn, and I hope it's like that over at the Coliseum and in Tuscaloosa, but I feel like that definitely had to play a big part of it because when we lost the lead for the first time, all I could hear was Auburn. And I mean, ultimately we were scoring more and we got the lead back, but
Well, it helps.
Yeah, I definitely think it played a huge part last night in the game.
No doubt about it. If Lyndon were here, she could tell us about it, but she's not, and she'll tell us tomorrow. Lyndon, I'm sorry. I'm going to continue to rake you over the coals. You know that's how we work around here. So, but anyway, you're right. Again, when you're in that radius, Nashville, Athens, Starkville, even down to Baton Rouge, it's a great opportunity for Auburn fans to go see Auburn play because it's hard to get in Neville Arena. And you just saw a massive crowd last night, just a huge Auburn crowd. And, we're taking arenas over. And look, we'll try to get as many in Tuscaloosa Saturday as possible. Anybody on here watching, anybody planning on going over to Tuscaloosa on Saturday, let us know. We need you to be there if you can. Now, tickets are stupid, but this is an epic matchup. Look, and I expect the one in March to be just as epic. I think both teams could still be 1 or 2 in March, depending on how the rest of the year plays out. I would expect that to be for the regular season championship in March. But this is the first one, and it's 1 versus 2, and we're all getting what we thought we could get. The fortune of Duke losing against Clemson, it worked out. I kept saying that a few weeks ago. I said, only if Duke could lose and just get the heck out of the way, we'd have a 1 versus 2 matchup. And none of us thought that would be a possibility. None of us thought that was even a chance. And then they lose to Clemson, who happens to be pretty good, by the way. Not to undersell them. I mean, Clemson's pretty doggone good. And so that wasn't, some, chunk loss on the road for Duke. And that was one of the few teams left that everybody thought maybe could beat them, and they did. So it worked out. So they got out of the way for this 1 versus 2 matchup. And we'll get back to some comments coming in here in just a minute, but I do want to thank Sensa Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensa Green. They are the carrier experts. We couldn't do the show without them. Call on them if you're needing a new heating and air unit. They're saving you thousands of dollars right now as we head on into 2025. It's about to turn spring, and it'll go from freezing to immediately hot. We've already seen it happen. So get you a new heating and air unit. It will save money on your power bill as well. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama. Those guys are the best. They specialize in educational projects, schools, renovations, whatever it is that you're looking for. They will take care of you there from start to finish. And our friends at Sure Shot here in Alexander City, can't say enough about them, Faith. Firearms, apparel, hunting, They sell and trade new and used firearms. There's the number there. You can call them 256-329-0080. Don't take our word for it. I buy all my stuff there, all my hunting apparel, whether I'm some type of bird hunting, whether it be for dove or turkey or ducks or whatever. Pretty much all my guns have come from Sure Shot over the years, and I've got a lot of them. It's an addiction. So my gun safe is getting full. Shotguns, rifles, handguns, whatever it is that you're looking for, make sure you call on them. They up here in Alexander City. Come visit them. They'd love to see you. And then Bunkers, Faith, and I'll let you talk a little bit about Bunkers, man. How good is that place?
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. Brett got to see some of my skills on the golf simulator. It was just the best time that we had. The food there is great. You can't go wrong at all. One of my friends actually was headed to Bunkers last night, and he was talking about how excited he was to get on that golf simulator and just enjoy the time there. The place is awesome. They're building a new bar. And so now you don't have to go over into the main room. And I mean, it was just, we had a great time there and definitely looking forward to go back.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, Auburn at Bunkers on West Glen, 50 parking spots there. So you don't have to worry about fighting traffic. Just a great place to go and hang out. You should have gone there last night and watched the game if you didn't, everybody down in Auburn. But you'll have an opportunity Saturday to go to Bunkers. I bet that place will be rocking Saturday. It's a great place to watch the game. Go check them out. While we're plugging everything right now, Faith, you and I will be at Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine next Friday. We're going to continue to hit that up. So going to be a lot of fun there. And we want to see you come out to Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine. Of course, we'll talk more about that later on. Patrick said Cheney MVP. No doubt, Patrick. Now, I mean, look, he rescued Auburn in the second half. Vanderbilt had the momentum, and he snatched it right back away. Clemson lost to South Carolina, the winless in the conference. Yeah, and but their record in ACC play, and they're doing a lot better. Just really, really good. Really good effort by them to win that game at home and not Duke out of the way for us to pave this route for us to be able to have this 1 versus 2 matchup, Faith. And let's talk about that as we move forward. Alabama, let's go around the league last night. It was great. Great night for college basketball. Great night in the SEC. And we knew it was a good outlook. We knew it was a good Tuesday night of basketball, and Florida goes over, and the story there, they lose Alex Condon, looked like a bad ankle injury. No, the X-ray was negative, so it's not broken. It's very similar to Jeni Broome. And, they were leading, and then when he went out, Mississippi State kind of surged, took the lead, but, man, Florida went off in the second half. They scored the first 17 points in the second half, coming out of the locker room on the road. So they won going away 81-68 last night over Mississippi State. Tennessee falls again. Kentucky swept Tennessee this year. And Mark Pope kind of felt the pressure. I think he understood that he needed to win this game, and they played like it, man, which makes me even more apprehensive about us going up to Rupp because we can't win up there, man. And I hope we break the streak. We haven't won there since 1987. So, of course, Kentucky will probably be finding themselves over the next week or so, and they'll be playing their best basketball when we roll into town. It just seems like that's the way it works a lot of times. But regardless, Tennessee did what Tennessee does a lot of times, and they went in the shell offensively and only managed 64 points. They got their normal 17 out of Ziegler and 16 out of Milicic, and then the rest was non-existent. So Tennessee falls again. They'll drop on down the pole a little bit. And, Tennessee's starting to be Tennessee. You can keep saying they're number one seed and all that, but now you look up and they got 5 losses, and they just keep kind of falling, and they keep losing big games. So don't know how all that ends up playing out for them and where they end up settling when we get closer to March. Alabama again last night blew out Texas 103-80. They are the best offensive team in the country. And when they're hitting threes, it is almost impossible to beat them. So Auburn's going to have to play great defense Saturday, Faith, and we keep sounding like a broken record, but they've got to. If they don't, it could get away from us up there, being in Tuscaloosa. And then Georgia last night falls to Texas A&M 69-53. And, Buzz Williams just quietly has his fighting Aggies up there at number 8 in the country. So we'll see how it is. Patrick said at this point it's a 4-team race: Auburn, Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M. Switch Tennessee and Florida for the seeding. Yep, I think Florida scares the heck out of me, man. I tell you, I told you that for a long time, and I hope we don't have to play them again. I hope we don't see them in the SEC tournament, and I hope we don't see them in the NCAA tournament.
For sure. They're definitely a huge loss for them without Alex Condon. Hopefully he'll be back. And
at least you said it right, not the way Jay Billis said it the other day. So going to break. So
hopefully though, he's going to be okay and not hurt for too long. But I wouldn't be upset if we had to go and play Florida and he wasn't there.
Yeah. I think he'll be out for a little while now. So how will Florida, respond with that? It's a major part of their team, and just like Janai Broome, you lose a key player like that for any amount of time, it affects. But they rebounded last night and played very well to finish off Mississippi State on the road. All right, we've been on here for almost 40 minutes, and shame on me for not giving you props on your hat game. I just you brought it out. The request was there, and you said, "Look, I'm going to give the fans what they wanted." So back to the vintage hat, Faith, looks great.
We got a win last night, so I had to bring it out for it.
Well, I hope you're wearing that on Monday after the Alabama game. So if this is what we figured out is the key to all of this, then we need to keep talking about the hat. That's what we need to do, and we're going to say that's why we are playing so well, especially on the road this year. Ambitious Engineer, that's a great name. Everybody else ain't playing 15 quad 1 games, and that's why they ain't tired. That's true. And again, you kind of lose that, and maybe I lost a little bit of that in what I said earlier. Our schedule is brutal. Now Alabama's played a brutal schedule too, and they've shown some tiredness. They got beat by Ole Miss at home a few weeks ago. So yeah, our schedule when you compare it to others is not equal, and it has been a long season because we didn't have a bunch of cupcakes on the front end, and all of a sudden, when you get into conference play, that deep bench is going to shrink. You're gonna have guys that you feel a lot more comfortable having on the floor for a lot more minutes. So you're a lot less apt to sub, but you have to. That's why it was so key, and what Bruce Pearl's been saying. It's so huge if you can steal minutes, 5 or 6 here and there, to give some guys a breather in a game can make all the difference in the world coming down the stretch. And will we see much more of Turtle? Will we ever see Ja'Kai Howard back on in a key moment? JP Pegues not stepping up and being the player we all thought. I saw Trey Donaldson last night had another good game for Michigan. I think he's averaging 13 points a game. He's having a great season. Proud for him. Really like Trey. I know it was kind of a situation where maybe he was just going to move on, and Auburn was going to move on from him. But boy, I'd take him back right now if we knew that JP Pegues, and I know they're two different really kind of players. One really a true point, and the other one's kind of a two guard. But Trey last year in that SEC tournament really helped us win that tournament. And man, he is playing outstanding for Michigan right now. So kudos to him. And Katie Johnson playing well for George Mason. I think I saw they're 20-5 on the season. Man, so they're playing extremely well. So you always pull for those guys. Spent a lot of time at Auburn and helped contribute to a lot of these wins over the last several years. Want to see them be successful. So, but Ambitious Engineer brings up a great point, no doubt. The amount of quad one games we played and the amount of wins we've had, that's why Auburn stayed number one. You know, it's why you lose a game to Florida at home. And then, of course, if Duke had won, they'd have jumped us. But Duke loses, and the AP voters said, nah, we're just going to keep Auburn there. So, because there's no reason to move them down because they lost to a very good team and they've got the best resume. So, survived the midweek. Both Auburn and Alabama did, Faith. They survived that midweek game. Alabama, really no problem with Texas. Auburn, it was a roller coaster game, got off to a hot start and kind of fizzled. We were a little concerned. And then Chaney Johnson said, no, hold my beer. I'm going to go ahead and take this game over. And he did. And Auburn was able to kind of pull away toward the end and win comfortably. So just a really, really good effort. Man, cherish every moment, man, during this season. You know, we get caught up looking at the end result, and we seem to lose focus. That was another really good win for this team. But, man, I know we'll talk more about it tomorrow, and, man, Thursday and Friday are going to be eaten up with Alabama talk. We'll have Lyndon. Lyndon was there at the game last night. That's why we were going to have her on today because it would have been immediate response. I guess we got to wait 48 hours. So we got to wait 48 hours for Lyndon to make her appearance. But she's got the mojo right now. Can we get her to go to Tuscaloosa? You got the mojo. You've got the mojo on the road. Can y'all meet up in Tuscaloosa? Can we start a GoFundMe to get y'all some tickets?
I asked you on Monday. I said, can we go? And you were like, you can leave right now. That's okay. I was like, no, to the game. Can I go to the game?
Yeah, I mean, you were looking at me like, can we go? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm not holding you back. Go, where are you going? And you're like, no, go to the game. I'm like, no, you go ahead and go on over to Tuscaloosa. Earlier in the year, we thought about buying some tickets, a bunch of us, and going. Kind of wish I'd have bought them back then. If I'd have, knew it was going to be a big game, but I didn't know it was going to be 1 versus 2. Adds a little bit to it. So, but yeah, Lyndon in Memorial Gym, she's jumping on right now because I have called her out now to the point she's coming. I knew it. So here she is.
I am sitting here drinking my coffee, just supporting the Blitz, and I get called out.
It's all in good fun, Lyndon. I was going to give you props. You cut me off. I was giving you props about your mojo in Memorial Gymnasium, whether you're pulling for Vanderbilt because your husband works there or when you put your Auburn hat on when we show up, you just win. You know that song, they wrote that song about you, Lyndon. All I do is win.
I mean,
right. You get tired. You're Donald Trump. Everybody, are you tired of winning yet? I mean, nobody.
Never get tired.
We're going to win so much, you're going to get sick of winning. That's what he said.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh my gosh,
Lyndon, we're going on Saturday. We have to.
I'm so nervous.
Well, you should be. You should be nervous.
Yeah, you should be very nervous. And they just freaking whooped butt last night against Texas. But it'll be a good one. I think it'll be a chippy game, a little muddy.
Yeah, it's gonna be physical,
emotional.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those times. Like in soccer, sometimes you describe it as like a muddy match, like just kind of sticky. When it's gonna be like physical, like defensive, and I just think that's how it's gonna be Saturday. It's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be like very like pretty basketball and like all these like transitions and just like a flow. So
I wonder, and can everybody keep their tempers in check? Can everybody keep their emotions in check to the point where we don't have? We saw last year it got rough up there.
Yeah,
I think Wagyu, the guy that's at South Carolina now that was on Alabama's team last year, did when Janai Broome was on the floor and he kind of did the hand stomp and it kind of started. That kind of got Auburn out of whack right there. If you'll remember, Auburn kind of had control of the game. and all that happened, and it just fell apart. So you got to Auburn's got to know, CBM's got to know, Janai Broom's got to know that Alabama's going to try to do that again and try to get us out of our game mentally.
We have I saw the South Carolina guy, Pringle, in Memorial this season earlier. We have a funny CBM story from last night.
Yes, Pringle on South Carolina. Wagyu is with who now? Is he with Oklahoma? I think he's at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He's at Oklahoma. That's right.
After the game, there were a lot of Auburn fans that, like stayed on the court to get pictures and stuff with the players. And it went for a while. And it was so funny. The security guard, this is secondhand story. My brother and his wife and all of the Goldens are here.
I mean, y'all got a room full of dogs.
Oh, we got a room full of dogs. But they were saying they're about to get a picture with CBM, and this little girl was like walking up and been waiting for forever. And the security guard was like, no more pictures. And CBM goes, are you salty because you lost? These are little girls. And it was really funny.
I can hear him saying that, can't you, Faye?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you got a class with him. You can see his personality is phenomenal, but man, we got to get him scoring again. And no points last night. Hey, I've got to ask you. That's why we wanted you on here. It wasn't that we were calling you out. We were just so upset that we were gonna have to wait a day to have you on here. So
I just in my MVT shirt from 2013. I got that string.
Hey, you are in a judge-free zone here. Nobody's judging anybody.
But I mean, we just had, the circus was in town, and I was like, oh no. And we've been up since like 6-something. My parents hit the road by 7, but I was like, I cannot get on this looking like this. But here we are. When I got called out, I was like, you know what?
You look beautiful. Don't worry.
Let's crash the stream.
You crashed.
But yeah, no. Hit me up with last night was.
Yeah, last night. I want to know what. I mean, obviously there was a ton of Auburn people there.
Wait, were you wearing Auburn or Vanderbilt?
So I wore like a black jacket.
Incognito.
Yes,
here.
incognito, because in the Vanderbilt, staff section, and we love Vanderbilt. Like we, and the team is so fun to watch. Byington's done such a great job, and the players are fun. They're smaller, but they play so hard. Jason Edwards, number 1 on Vandy. I'm sure y'all, talked about him. He played his first year at Miles College in Birmingham. So a little Alabama connection. And then he went off to like Dodge City and like other places before landing at Vanderbilt. But a lot of Auburn people there. The Auburn club in Nashville did a really good job, hosted like a pregame, like mix and mingle. So, Scott Blake's there just making all types of friends, and then walked over to Memorial, and it was a great atmosphere. Every person that I knew in town that went to Auburn was at the game.
Well, of course. I mean, it's easier to get a ticket on the road than it is at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but yeah. And since when did Scott ever miss an opportunity to mingle and meet people?
I mean,
ever.
I mean,
he's the unofficial mayor of Alex City, by the way.
Oh yeah, like
he doesn't even have to run for office because he's that guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the one everybody knows.
Cards out. Like Emily, my sister-in-law, was like, "Why'd I even come up here? He's not even talking to us." But
that's right.
It was a good Auburn like pregame and stuff, and they did like the Tiger Walk and everything. And I will say Memorial normally is like really hot, but it felt good last night. I was kind of excited about it.
We brought the vibe. Auburn brought the vibe into the building. So
yeah, but just a cool game. It was, close for a while, fun to watch.
Only the second loss for Vanderbilt in that building this year. So
only what?
Second loss for them in Memorial this year for Vanderbilt. They were 12-1.
I know. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the Vandy students have done such a good job with showing up for every game. It was honky tonk night last night. They all had on like their cowboy hats. So
honky tonk night every night in Nashville.
Yeah, and they say Memorial is like also haunted. Like, it's a hard place to win. It's a different look. You imagine, you think when you're a basketball player and when you're looking at the basket, it looks different in every gym.
Sure.
But every gym is pretty much the same. But like Memorial, I mean,
your depth perception's way off.
It's
in there.
way off. Like it's a hard
Right.
place to shoot. So
It is.
Johnson, I was like, hey, this is his
Mate,
type of gym.
Chaney Johnson loves this open air gym, and
know.
so did Denver Jones. It's crazy.
Yay!
That's when it's go to the finals.
Struggled.
Lyndon, this going and covering, and Faith's going to get to experience this year when we go to the finals in Birmingham. These teams, I mean, think about these 1A and 2A and even 3A, heck, even 6A teams playing in these small gyms. And then all of a sudden you go play for a state championship in Legacy Arena, and you're looking around going, good Lord. And it's like, I see them warm up, and the first few shots are air balls. It's like, can't get their feel for the building because it's so enormous. And so, it takes a while to get used to all that. A lot of people don't realize that, even in the SEC and big time college basketball, and that's when you go to the Final Four, even though you've been playing in big arenas, you go to the Final Four and you go to a place like Mercedes Dome or the Superdome or San Antonio like this year, and you play in a place that seats 80,000 people, and you're like, and the floor is like this big, and you're down there in the middle of it, and you're trying to get your depth perception on how to shoot a basketball. It's tough.
That's what Memorial Gym on Vandy's campus reminds me of. The only other, like, I've been to one Final Four in 2019 when Auburn went, and that was at US Bank Stadium up in Minnesota. And that's like the feel of it. Like you are seated like away from the court. The court's raised, like you're kind of below, and
it's weird.
It's just weird crazy. Feel. At the national championship game, which blows my mind, in 2019 between Texas Tech and Virginia, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes were in the same section as like I was just watching that game because I wasn't covering it. And it was so like incognito, like it was not that big of a deal. Can you imagine if those two showed up in San Antonio? Like,
oh God,
it's not even that long ago, but
somebody will show up. I mean, the big time guns show up. So hey, we're all going back. Are we all going? Are we all agreeing? Are we all agreeing? We're all going to San Antonio.
Oh, my best friends live in San Antonio, and they're expecting a baby in April. So tickets booked. That way, I'm not jinxing it. I'm not jinxing anything.
You have a friend in every city in the country.
Hey,
so I mean, like, there's
it's good to have friends.
It's good to be. It's good to be liked. It's good to have connections. So,
but yeah, I'm pumped. Chad was there a couple weeks ago in San Antonio, and yeah, it's exciting.
Well, that's going to be
fun city. It'll be a fun city. Charles Barkley, that's his favorite city. He loves.
I know he loves to hammer. He loves to hammer San Antonio.
He loves it.
He loves to give it. Well, look, Lyndon, we are forever grateful for you to jump on this morning. It was all in good fun, and I know you know that. So
it's just so funny. Michael, my brother, and I looked at each other, and we were like, And I ran to get my phone. I'm like, crashing in. So.
I knew I could. You're like, I knew I could reel you in. You know, I'm a fisherman over here. Yeah. I'm gonna throw the bait out there, and I knew you'd bite it. So
one more little sideline story that you obviously, if you watch the game on TV, that you didn't get to see. This is really cool. Post game, there was this son and his mom there on the court. Mom was in a wheelchair. So in Vanderbilt, there's a section there, like right by the radio broadcast, where they watch the game. And after Bruce Pearl's radio interview, he went over and he prayed over the mom and the son, and for a while, like it was just really cool to watch. And then afterwards, I started talking to the son. He, of course, knew someone from Birmingham, whatever. We start talking, and I was like, that was so awesome to watch Pearl pray over you guys. Like, is everything okay? Like, what? I hope everything's okay. And his mom had pancreatic cancer, and if I'm remembering this right, it moved to her liver, I think, and she just found out last week. And so that's why Pearl was saying a prayer over her, and that was post game, and it was just really awesome special guy.
What an awesome guy, man. Seriously. All of us that have had the opportunity to be around him outside of basketball, and
my connection went bad.
You're still here, but I think she went away. We may have lost Lyndon there. But going on, talking about what we were talking about, Faith, he's
Ignoring
just,
you, I couldn't hear you guys.
You're
My
back.
connection went kind of bad.
You're back. You were here the whole time. So you just kind of froze up. But he really is. He's got such a generous heart to help. He does the outlive. He just stops.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. Can you hear us? She's struggling.
I'm back. I'm back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, my connection went bad.
I feel like I'm back on that T-Mobile commercial. I'm trying to be sentimental here, Lyndon, and all I keep hearing is back. I'm back. I'm back. Anyway, you killed the vibe, but that's okay. Bruce Pearl's a great guy. I'll just shut up.
Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's outstanding.
So we connected. The mother son, they go to Brentwood Baptist Church, and we were just a great couple. But that was a very special moment. I think it's getting some traction on Twitter this morning, but it was just really cool, and it was just sweet. And yeah, he is a great person to take time right there on the spot and just pray over them.
Well, he just does a lot outside of basketball. Is where I was going. So
yeah.
Well, Lyndon, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We had to bring you on because you had the mojo last night. You brought the win to Auburn. You've been Vanderbilt's lucky charm too this year.
Let me show you guys. Look, we have the goalpost from when Vanderbilt beat Bama.
Look at there.
Oh my gosh.
That's nice.
The handwritten letter from Clark Lee. We got the goalpost.
That is a great keepsake right
there. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great mantelpiece. With it cut up, it kind of looks like duct tape. But then you got to display it. Like
it did look like a big roll of duct tape. Now that you said that,
but it's so special. So Vandy's been winning. It's been so much fun. Excited for baseball season. That'll be a good battle with Auburn. So yeah.
Good times. Leonard, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Guys.
Have a great rest of your day.
Hey, and tomorrow I will, powder my nose.
And then come back. You're absolutely welcome to come back.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you. Bye, Lyndon.
Thank you, Lyndon. There's another hat game compliment. You're just getting the compliments all over the place, Faith. But that was great, man. Yeah. Look, I baited her in. She couldn't take
awesome.
it.
She's the best.
We'll get Lyndon back tomorrow for some pre-Alabama talk with us. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll have Randy first, and then you'll jump on, and then we'll get Lyndon to jump on. We'll have a big old pre-Iron Bowl basketball party on a Thursday tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So a couple more things. Obviously, we want to talk about a few more of our sponsors. Again, we can't do the show without them, so we got to give cred there. Oliver Ross is a full-service bar service group that comes to you and serves you for any kind of party, any kind of function. You can have a 30,000 person event, or you can have a 500 person event, or you could have a 50 person event. They'll come to you, private parties at your house, venues, whatever. They're fully licensed, and they will bring out experienced bartenders to make the experience top notch for you for whatever event that you're putting on. So they've been around since 2018. They do a lot of things in Auburn, frat parties, sorority parties, things for the university. But again, been to plenty of events where Oliver Ross handled the bar service, and they do an outstanding job. Great selection. They'll take care of you, everything that you possibly would be looking for in service in that area. They'll take care of it for you. So thanks to Oliver Ross. Thanks to Sense of Green again for air that's cool and clean. We couldn't do it without Sense of Green, and we couldn't do it without Scout Program Management in Birmingham. They are a full-service construction firm, and they take care of you on all your education projects. They'll help you on other construction projects as well. And then the Sure Shot, firearms, apparel, hunting. They've got the Browning 22s available, very tough gun to find. They have them at Sure Shot. So if you're looking for those guns, go up to Alexander City right there on Highway 280 and check out Sure shot. Turkey season's right around the corner, folks. Deer season just wrapped up, and they got all the ammo that you need, got all the different types of guns that you would possibly be looking for. And then, of course, Bunkers in downtown Auburn, one of our favorite places. Me and Faith love going to Bunkers. The food's outstanding. The atmosphere is awesome. If you got nowhere to go watch the game on Saturday, make Bunkers part of your plans. You won't regret it. Go kick back, watch the game on all their TVs, and eat you some really good food. You will not be disappointed. So, Faith, man, that was an eventful show.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
I'm worn out already. So, but a lot of fun, and we appreciate all the comments. Appreciate everybody that tunes us in. Tony said, "Hey, Brett, just send Luke a text. He'll get y'all next to the Bama student section." There's no question. I'd be sitting right beside all the guys with the hard hats, and they'd be throwing crap at me and saying really nice things to me the whole game, and I'd be saying them right back. So that's why I don't need to go to Tuscaloosa, Tony. I just need to stay my rear end where it is. And
I'll still go. I'll be nice. I have a
you'll be
filter.
nice. They'll still throw stuff at you.
Well, if they do that.
No holds barred up there.
That means I'm allowed to throw something back.
Yeah.
They started.
Absolutely. All's fair in love and war there, right?
Amen.
So, all right. So that's going to wrap it up. We got Auburn Blitz coming up at noon. So make sure you tune us in on TV, right back here on Facebook and YouTube. We couldn't do the show without all of our great partners. And, of course, we appreciate all the comments that come in. Faith and I, along with Randy and Lyndon, tomorrow back here on the Auburn Blitz podcast, a little bit before 8. We'll get started a little bit earlier on Thursdays. Randy jumps on, and then he's got to jump off, and then Faith will jump on with us about 8:20, and then Lyndon, who knows when she'll pop in. She'll pop in when she gets ready, whenever she gets ready. But that's right, we're waiting on her, and it's all great. But we do appreciate Lyndon jumping on today and giving us a little insight how the atmosphere was last night. We'll talk to her again tomorrow. So everybody have a wonderful Wednesday. It's stormy outside. Be safe, and a big War Eagle.
War Eagle.